Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John, this is many a true nerd, and welcome to Realpolitiks New Power. Now, I've played Realpolitiks before, a good game, maybe not quite as deep as I thought it was when I first played it, but still a fun, interesting political game with lots of fun, interesting things to do. And it's just actually gained some DLC, the New Power DLC, you should probably guess, for the fact it says New Power at the top, and also New Power DLC at the bottom, so I thought this might be a fun time to nip back into it. One of the particularly fun things about Realpolitiks, by the way, in case you never saw it the first time around, is, you can basically actually set the world to be taking place in, not quite an alternate universe, but a theoretical post-World War III future, where the world's fragmented a bit. So the United Kingdom's dissolved, Europe has actually federalised, but several bits have just kind of left it. There's, a bit of fair amount of merging going on over in Africa. The US has split apart, and honestly, I feel like you guys would just be happier like this. Like, I just feel potentially the US might be a bit happier if it split up into a couple of different countries. You know, 2 or 3. I think potentially that might actually solve a few political problems. Quebec gains its independence. That's nice. And yeah, there's just a whole bunch of new countries floating around. And if you really want to go into the mad future, New World Order 2222, there's Angela Merkel just playing Realpolitiks, by the way, where, basically they've reset the world so that every single province has the same starting score, population, GDP, and resource level. So basically they've had to break up a bunch of countries into little countries. And stuff like this has happened, where now in the US instead, there's all these little countries. That's the United States. I feel like it's not actually, named particularly well anymore. So that's all just flipping marvellous. And there's the Roman Empire, the Romans are back, and there's Catalonia, that's got its independence. It took till 2222, but they got there in the end. And the UK again, UK no longer desperately well named. That flag is not very accurate anymore, we should change that. Also, Aleppo and Mosul get to be their own countries, so they've recovered well from not being in the best situation right now. And there's just a load of interesting countries floating around, which is really cool. But ignore that, we're going just to the basic plain scenario for the world is not enough 2020. Because there's one particular thing I do actually want to do, which is, rather depressingly perhaps, I am old enough just to remember how nice it was to actually have the sensation of the threat of nuclear annihilation actually receding and no longer having to worry in the slightest about being nuked. It just stopped being a thing that I had to worry about. So I've not really been thrilled with the past couple of years, where that threat has been slowly starting to creep back in again. That's not been great. So, here we are, let's just nip over to North Korea. Because today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to try and solve the North Korea problem. This new DLC actually comes with a Korean Crisis little mission pack. So, I'm going to be playing that as North Korea itself. Marvellous. The world is gathering against us. All the unfair sanctions and international pressure. We cannot stand this anymore. It is time to take a stand. So, starting in 2020, by 2035, unite Korea, conquer the Japanese island of Kyushu, sorry I'm probably mispronouncing that, be a totalitarian country, and keep the nuclear project alive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix Korea, alright? I am going to fix Korea, and I'm going to sort all of that out, like, peaceably, and we're going to recover, and etc, etc. And generally everything's going to be good. Alright, we're not going to do this with violence unless we absolutely have to. So, step 1, and arguably the most important step, rebranding. You're allowed to edit the country if you want to. So, North Korea, no. Nice Korea, everyone's gonna like us more now. And to further reinforce the point, I've changed our flag to a lovely hot MATN pink with a white peace symbol in the middle of it, just so everyone gets my friendly intentions. There we go, nice Korea with a lovely peace symbol. Now, that's a good starting point. So welcome to Realpolitiks, in case you missed it the first time round. Yes, okay, what you've basically got here is money, which we are losing every single month because we're North Korea. And sorry, no, we're nice Korea. Stick with the rebranding here, it's very important. Yeah, we've not got much money and we're also losing it rapidly. We've got action points that basically let you do things, and we're basically not really making much of that either. We're making only 1 per month, so that's gonna go away very quickly. because, you know, even small projects can require hundreds of action points to make happen. You need many action points. My GDP growth, well, that's self-explanatory, and that's also terrible. It's not negative, which is nice. And finally, natural resources. That's basically a static resource that you need to do big things. Now, you can actually mine up more, but it's expensive to do. So, for example, if I want to, I could just do some mining infrastructure. But that would cost 7,000 money. Yeah, we're going to need some more money. And as I was saying, 250 action points to make that happen. And would also take, I believe that's days, 2,000 days. So, that will be quite some way off. We've got to be careful. This game is basically about balancing these resources against each other to try and get to a very specific objective. In this case, the objective is basically, yeah, I need to get South Korea back, and then need to get this island. Now, I'm guessing none of these people like me hugely right now. Let's just actually check in on that. Yes, my relations with South Korea is currently at 15, and it would need to be 65 before they'd be willing to actually form any sort of bloc with me. Now, if I could form a bloc with South Korea, that would be marvellous. So, except the maintenance on that block would be huge and would cripple me. I think what I probably need to do first is I need to sort out the economy, get myself on even footing. Now, you're probably thinking, John, you should probably just invade South Korea. That's probably a bad idea too, because let's just quickly go and look at my military. The military that's been assigned to me is 9 battalions of infantry, 7 of tanks, 5 of aircraft, 4 navy, and no transport units. Let's just go over to South Korea here and just skirt down to their military, which, as you've noticed, might just be, you know, the same but much more, because they've got quite a bit of, you know, army too. I'm guessing what's being assumed here is that international allies that are supposed to be there are just being represented in their army, because technically no one in this game, actually some people do start in blocks. I think Russia starts in a block with Belarus or something, but South Korea doesn't start in a block with anyone. It's not in a block with America, you can see right there. So, in theory we could talk them around. How much would it cost to just start talking them around? So if I wanted to improve my relations, that would get my relations up by 15, take a year to do, but it would cost a bit of money, a few action points. Could do that, or I could start trying to get China on board, because if me and China became close enough friends, then I could attack South Korea without having to worry about America attacking me. But let's try and do this nicely first. The game normally gives you a few little, like, tasks just to kind of start off with. That's, oh, hang on. I just need to let time pass for a couple of days for the initial task to actually roll in. Because the game will normally give you, there we go, marvellous. Our nuclear arsenal is ready to shower the skies with an atomic symphony. No, did no one pass the memo around about the rebranding? Apparently not. Okay, we'll show them. We'll show them all. And yes, indeed, I do start off with 10 nuclear missiles. I don't think I've got the actual facilities to kind of blast anyone in the world with them, but I could certainly nuke South Korea if I wanted to. Probably a bad idea. I live next door to South Korea. So we'll show them all. That gets the cost of my warheads down a bit, as we get some free transport units to move my arm around wherever I'd like to go. So basically I can just invade this southern island off Japan if I want to, and chance of a successful nuclear attack up by 10%. Nice, okay. Now I'm going to assume at this point we've got ourselves, there we are, a task. So our country could do with some general improvement. You're not bloody kidding. It's a bit of a mess. Introduce the research center project. Okay, that we can certainly look at. So here we are in, yeah, we've got 2 projects launched. You can be running 2 projects at once. And we have got ourselves, yeah, okay, I can't do that because I don't have action points. We're going to need to work up to the research center, damn it. Okay, let's go over to the economy tab and have a little look-see here. So right now my overall industry profile is industrial. So that gets me 20% more action points than I would do by default. If I could move over to a service-based economy, that would be a big bonus. It would cost a fair bit of money and action points up front. I could afford it, however. So I would need, yeah, my HDI up a bit. So if I get education up, that would be good. Except actually, part of the problem here is, yeah, my money is going into various projects. So I'm running a massive deficit. What if I could turn some of these off? Because, for example, statism probably isn't actually good. If only because it's probably actually costing me flipping money. Yeah, that's costing me 11 money a turn and 2 influence a turn to maintain. And my interventionism target goes up by 3 as a result of it, though it is actually keeping unemployment down. But I'm going to be honest, I feel like my interventionism is already high enough, being as it is 20 out of 20. So we could afford to slightly liberalise my economy while still being North Korea-y. So let us indeed deactivate statism, and that should have a very nice impact on... There we go, lovely. So that's now on cooldown, so if I wanted to turn that back on again I could do, but only in a year's time. Now what else is a bad idea and needs to be turned off? Okay, these collective state farms are expensive, but they're also causing my population to grow a tiny bit faster. Not a huge amount, but again, I think we can do without those. Let's just turn those off too. Lovely. What else do we need to get on here? I mean, I'd love to get economy modernization for a bunch of, oh yeah, a bunch of free action points. That would be rather nice. Yeah, let's activate that because we can turn that off later. So that now moves into one of my project slots. So now I've got another project slot available to me as well. So let's just find some stuff to turn off here. Or some stuff to turn on. Green basically means stuff that's already on. Blue means stuff that is currently available to you. Blue but slightly faded out blue means would be available to you, but you don't have the money or the action points to do it. Red means you don't meet one of the criteria yet. Okay, this one seems good. Education Industry Cooperation. Strictly designed to produce more industrial experts and workers. A nice little increase in GDP growth. Doesn't cost the world. Doesn't take that long to do. And doesn't actually cost that much to maintain either. Probably not a bad idea. So let's get those into production immediately, while I also look for more stuff to potentially turn off. Like, ooh, censorship. That's probably bad and could be turned off. Except it doesn't actually cost anything, so we may as well leave it on, I suppose. Pornography prohibition, well that we can certainly turn off, because that's just bloody silly. So that can be turned off immediately. Ah, the military. Now, there's got to be something we can cut out of this. Now, I know the thing said you've got to keep the atomic bomb project alive. That's fine. We will liberalise and we'll be good. We'll just quietly keep the bomb project alive and hopefully people will just kind of, you know, be happy with that and let us keep the atomic bomb as long as we're, like, you know, nice. Ooh, lasers. Lasers sounds fun. I don't really know what lasers would do aside from just being awesome, but I kind of want lasers. Also, apparently we're propping up our economy with currency wars right now, which is making everyone hate me. So, I would love to turn that off, but I can't just at this exact moment in time, because my economy would actually start contracting without it, so we're just going to have to make do. Ah, here's another good one, the propaganda school program. Well, that can be turned off to save a little bit of money and also get the personal control target down a bit. So, in other words, yeah, people are going to start being a bit more open-minded and diddly-diddly-dee. Assembly ban. Well, that can most certainly go. People are allowed to assemble at this point. Lovely. And as a result, yeah, we're now getting in a good 8 action points every turn, meaning people are happier with us, which is good. And there we go. We're starting to see some nice improvements ticking through here. The GDP is starting to rise as I've started to liberalise some of the economy. Now, let's check what's going on here. We're actually... yeah, we might actually slip out of totalitarianism into authoritarianism. That's fine. We can go back to totalitarianism later if we need to. And we will also be, yeah, interventionism is going to, over time, start sliding down, as is personal control, and that's going to have a bunch of add-on effects. Because, yeah, right now the interventionism is so high, it's causing GDP growth to be reduced by 0.25%. So as that starts declining over time, and it's now going to basically start skewing over time towards 14, that will start to go down, economic growth will start to rise, and hopefully, as a result of that, taxes will go up, and the deficit will actually be taken care of. And by the way, war just broke out between Islamic State and Syria. Yeah, when this game came out, it did actually have Islamic State in it, and it still does. It just changed its name to Mashriq. It just did. No one was really sure why, it just kind of felt like it. But now as a result, yeah, Islamic State is not actually called Islamic State. Probably they were trying to skirt around controversy, because that was quite a controversial thing to do. So, hang on, the game's flashing things at me, like angriness. Highest unhappiness in North Korea. I've literally just turned off, it's probably because I turned off the propaganda. Maybe I should have left some of the propaganda on. So, special career ability, Korea, can form United Korea under the following circumstances. Must be at peace and I must control the province of South Korea. Okay, so I need to get hold of South Korea somehow. You see, what I could do is I could instead try to, spread dissent in South Korea in order to make unhappiness go up. How unhappy is South Korea right now? Let's have a little look-see at this. What can we learn about South Korea? Personal control is extremely low, but actually skewing upwards. They've just made some policy changes. But as a result, they're probably pretty happy, all things considered. Also, their economy is a lot bigger than mine. Their military is... I think they've actually just turned off some of their military. I swear they had more than that a while ago, but they might have just actually got rid of some of that. Fine. So they're probably pretty happy, all things considered. Probably best I start just trying to make friends with them, if at all possible. So let's improve relations. Yeah, that's actually pretty cheap to do. So I'm going to improve relations with these lads, and that's just flipping perfect. And Sudan is also at war with South Sudan. That's fine. I don't really have a horse in that race. As long as China doesn't attack anyone or America doesn't attack me, I'm moderately happy. And GDP has slightly gone down again. Right, it's being depressed by taxes. I think my tax rate is pretty high, actually. Let's go over to my economy here. I've got some debt, and I am actually paying out for that. But actually, pay the debt down. The debt is only... just pay the whole thing. It's only 20. Okay, good. So that's actually got rid of a little bit of the deficit. And diplomatic success. I have indeed managed to improve relations in South Korea. Marvellous. Yes, indeed. My taxes are about 40% on average at the minute. So I could whack that up, but that would cause unhappiness and a hit to GDP growth. However, if I was to lower taxes... Oh, I physically can't lower taxes lower than 40%. Right, I might need to have to make some changes to my actual political system. Apparently right now, being a totalitarian communist society, I physically can't have taxes lower than that. And a couple of small other projects have come in. These are a very good way to keep yourself going. So, we could do with some general improvements. So, Infrastructure 2 would get me a whole bunch of good stuff. And my GDP up to 247. Okay, what's my GDP right now? 222 with GDP growth of 0.13. So, it is going up. It is certainly going up. That's true. Let's just keep time ticking along here, because presumably that means, over time, we will actually hit that. And, okay, who just flipping spied on me? Because maybe you missed the memo, but I'm trying to be nice here, South Korea. Not saying who was responsible for that, because we don't know South Korea, but maybe just, leave off South Korea. So, that Infrastructure 2 thing, we could actually afford that pretty much right now. That's not too difficult to have. Let's actually let the education finish, and then we'll go into Infrastructure 2. That'd be absolutely fine. And I can't just spam improve relations. That's on cooldown for the next actual year, okay. I need to get my relations yet. It's going to take another 2 or 3 rounds of improving relations with South Korea. And also, I'm going to need enough military units that they're bothered to actually join a bloc with me. Okay, except once they're in a bloc, I need to figure out how to assimilate them, which I'm hoping is a thing I can do. If it's not, then you know what? I will settle for the consolation prize of nobody got nuked, because that's the best prize of all. How much would it cost in theory to spread dissent in South Korea? Actually, there's a big amount of score to be got out of that. Okay, give it a go, because there's a lot of score to be got out of that as well. And just in case it does come to war, which it won't, but just in case it does, let's have a little look-see at the territory around here, because that would be useful to know. So we've got ourselves, in South Korea, if I was invading and thus we were on South Korean territory, it's rainy and it's grasslandy right now, though I'm guessing the weather does actually change over time. Grassland, however, would not. So, tanks have the advantage in this. Why is the economy shrinking? What's going on? Because that doesn't seem right. What's changing right now? Oh, it's the world economic situation. Fine, so it's not my fault. I'm doing the right things. It's just the bloody crash of 2020, eh? Meanwhile, if anyone was to invade North Korea and attack me, my infantry would have a bit more of an advantage as a defender. So having plenty of infantry, not a bad idea. So, unfortunately, our spies did just get a little bit caught, and as a result, South Korea hates us again. Because I was admittedly attempting to destabilise their country. Also, the bloc of Indonesia was destroyed. Who are you in a bloc with exactly? I'm not sure. And someone's also gone to war. No, it's just O. That's a warning about me. High warmonger levels in North Korea on account of that whole spying situation. Well, in all fairness, they sent spies against me too. Oh. South Korea just flipping joined up with China in a bloc. Now that's a concern. That's a bit of a concern, yes. On the plus side, the economy's bounced back nicely around the world. Our economy is starting to get somewhere. Our new industry education system is going to come in, which is going to be beautiful. And yes, indeed, now, apparently, it's snowing this year or whatever. So now, as a result, yeah, the military situation has changed. You've actually got to tailor your military solution to what the current state of the country you want to invade is. Okay, I have a feeling that try as I might, this might actually end up in a war situation. We don't need to worry about that yet. That's not till like 2035 or whatever. So for the moment, we can just focus on getting our economy up. Because right now, our GDP is, what? Yeah, that's, what was that? That was down here somewhere. 225 and slowly going up. Korea's, however, I believe is quite a bit large. Yeah, 1,926. And they've also got, oh blimey. Yeah, they can call up 50 infantry, it's just they only bother keeping 8 of them active at any... Yeah, okay. That's... Oh, wait, no, that's not theirs, that's China's. Yeah, I really need to break them out of that block, because that's not going to go well for me if me goes to war against, you know, all of that. Also, the United Nations, which I don't get a vote on because I'm not big enough, of course, has decided to try and impose sanctions against authoritarianism, reduce army limit of authoritarian systems by 20%. Right. And it looks like that's actually going to pass. So, am I actually authoritarian? Possibly it means authoritarian or above, because for the moment at least, I'm totalitarian, not authoritarian, so I don't know. Ah, and there's the industry education cooperation. Except now I can't afford infrastructure 2 anymore, because I spent my influence on a spying action that went horribly wrong. I may have made a small tactical error here. Okay, the money we can borrow, that's super easy. The problem is I need to get the flipping... Yeah, the cost in terms of action points in. Now, I am gaining action points, but it's going to take me a while to get up to 400. So I need to find a way to take a shortcut, ideally. Okay, I'm going to turn off the currency wars. The economy's going to take a small hit, but everyone's going to like me more for it, so it's fine. Now, I know this goes exactly against what I was just saying, but the Subotnik policy over here, voluntary work designed to help in community services, GDP growth up, and happiness up a bit too, costs a tiny bit of money, only a tiny bit of influence. Yeah, let's get that into production as well, please. Go on then. Get time ticking by here. We have got action points coming in, and when the Economic Modernisation 4 is done, we shall be in good shape. And when I say when that's done, that is like 2.5 years off. But what I'm hoping is that will grow the GDP enough that our GDP will hit the target. Yeah, there we go. There we flipping go. GDP growth up to plus 0.31%. Because one of my tasks was grow my GDP. Yeah, you see right there. If I can just get my GDP grown hugely, as a result of that, I can actually get myself a ton of action points. And, okay, I'm not quite in the top 5 countries in the world by score. Yeah, the star system is how the game kind of keeps track of how you're doing. United States has 441 of them. I've got 21. But there are, you know, quite a few worse countries. Oh no, this is interesting. The Republic of China, or Taiwan, just of course actually went and joined Japan in a bloc. Now, I wonder if these two powers would like to hate each other for a bit, and I could just stay out of it. And maybe if South Korea could get, like, murdered by someone else at the same time and it wasn't my fault, that could work. Now, here's a nice cheap one. The nice Korean stock exchange. Cheap to implement, cheap to maintain. I've got the Human Development Index for that. Get that done in about a year's time. And then that will have a little increase on the GDP. And then we can start something, floating our currency, something. And the UN did indeed pass its anti-warmonger resolution. Right, let's go over to the UN and check exactly what that means. So, bastard Australia did indeed say the UN and its members now have a right to stage military interventions if... Oh, right, so possibly that first one about sanctions didn't pass in the end. This is a different one. So, international justification for military conflict against 3 countries with... Okay, I'm guessing 3 countries do actually have warmonger over 45. I'm gonna guess that I'm one of them. Actually, no. My warmonger's only 14. It must be some of the countries that are actually going to war with other countries. So, not my fault right now. Not my problem. In fact, I've got a plan. As troops are in fact fairly quick and easy to train, I may as well just get rid of some of these guys. Right. No, I want to get... Okay, yes, there we are. I discard over there. Let's just get rid of some of them right now, just to kind of help shore up the economy, and as a gesture of goodwill to the rest of the world, who clearly aren't keen on, you know, me having a huge pile of troops. And this time we caught the spies trying to come the second time. It was South Korea. We bloody knew it was. My interventionism is going down over time. I think this now means I can lower taxes. Now, if I lower taxes... That is going to, though that is going to hurt our economy in the short term, GDP growth is going to shoot up. And GDP is where I want the growth, because then that will start closing up straight afterwards. And in addition, I want that GDP rising as fast as possible. Oh yeah. Remember when we inherited this economy and it was a flipping basket case? It still is, but like now the basket is starting to look a little bit less shabby. Also, I really like how weather seems to change roughly every 3 months. Like, right now it's sunny in Lower Honshu, and it just is going to be that way for 3 months straight. Not a cloud in the sky for 3 months. There we go. There's my stock exchange. I've got a stock exchange now. Can I actually do anything with my stock exchange? No. No, I can't, because I don't actually... Yeah, I need a local financial centre before I can actually... Hang on, what did I just actually build? So, a domestic stock exchange... Okay, local financial centre, so that means, an international stock exchange, fine. So right now it's just a local thing, gotcha. But still it should be nudging up GDP, and GDP is growing. Right now it's only a little bit low because of the bloody world economic situation, so if that would just like to recover, that'd be great. And hello, we've got ourselves, wait, hang on, what? What do you mean military intervention Russia? What does that mean, game? That's a little bit vague. Do you mean the UN just decided to actually attack cocking Russia? Like, the entire UN? Because I thought Russia was... Wait, hang the cock on. Yeah, Russia's definitely in the UN right now. And also we need to... Ooh. Okay. International Olympic Committee will soon choose the next host country. And do we actually want to bother participating in the funding? Probably we don't actually want to bother. No. Yeah, I think we can do without that, actually. That's a little bit on the expensive side, by which I mean we literally couldn't afford it without borrowing. So no, we're not taking part in that. Yeah, I'm still not 100% sure exactly what the announcement meant by, oh yeah, UN intervention against Russia, because Russia is still a UN member, suggesting it would have a veto. Because I thought that's how the UN Security Council worked. Any member on it has... a veto, but okay. Does Russia have... Hang on, I can verify this. Other countries. Russia. Is Russia's warmonger score... Okay, their warmonger score was over 45, presumably. Possibly there was just the world's briefest and most insignificant military intervention before it went down a spot. Okay, that's a fairly major thing right there. War between India and Pakistan, because they're both nuclear armed, so that's a war to keep an eye on, potentially, because that's a pretty big deal. So, also, new proposition. So, Japan proposed a new resolution for the UN Security Council. Members are voting on sanctions against totalitarianism right now. Right, okay, and yeah, demilitarization. Is that the same as we've got? No. That's something different. Okay, so reduce the army limit of totalitarian by 20%. If they do that, that's fine. I'll just disband some units for more money. Though rather than just slapping sanctions on everyone forever, how about one of those foreign aid programs? That'd be pretty nice, guys. Oh, there we go. My GDP got to 247. I've just got some lovely, lovely stars and 700 action points. Right. Pause things for a second. I should now be able to make some stuff happen here. Number one, let's get that infrastructure improvement underway. Now, to fund that, I'm going to need to do some borrowing. That's fine. Ooh, quite a bit of borrowing, actually. Yeah, but it's worth it. It's 100% worth it. That's fine. It's not fine. Okay, I'm also need to borrow more money to cover the cost of servicing the debt, that's a terrible way to do business, but it's gonna have to do. So, infrastructure 2, that's gonna be worth 50 score, but more importantly, it's gonna be done in a year, and it's also one of my little tasks. So, activate that, get that underway. Lovely. I see I'm going up in the world. Nice Korea, up to number 32 now. We were 40 last time. Nice. So forming up around me is a block of... Yeah, we've got ourselves Japan, the Republic of China, and Singapore down over here. They're all in it together, are they? Yeah. Meanwhile, China, you yourself are in a block with China... Burma and demilitarization. Fine, so I need to get some units down a bit. Gotcha. Could I get around that by not being totalitarian anymore? Because I feel like potentially I could be authoritarian, not totalitarian, and that would potentially just get around the whole issue. Let's not make any cuts until the next election, which is in 2024, because that next election might throw up some surprises, given I've been doing a lot of big acts of liberalization here. And yes, indeed, high warmonger score in China, over 45. There's a possibility of a UN intervention by some people against China, which is... By the way, is that the... Yeah, there it is. I would like to absolutely change to authoritarianism to get around your stupid UN proposal. Marvellous. But tragically, I'm only allowed to use nuclear weapons during defensive wars. I can't go on an offensive nuclear rampage. So I might need to slip back up to totalitarianism later, we'll have to see. But I've got to imagine this is going to be good for the economy, right? Especially as, Economy Modernization 4 comes in just as we remove the shackles of, oh yeah. Yeah, this is looking good. The economy is roaring now. Wait, hang on, what's going on? Russia would like to create a permanent connection with Kaliningrad. I don't think this really involves me, to be honest. And once again, the game is saying, military intervention, China People's Republic. Now, I don't know whether that means there is literally one going on, or they're a viable target for it. But, whatever's happening, it's not good. Now, the economy is, yeah, I need to spend these action points shoring up the economy. Or, I could get rid of some of these stupid military units, because they're quite expensive. Actually, in all fairness, the army's only 16 for the whole thing. I could scrap 2/3 of the army and still barely be breaking even. Really, what I need to do is... I could put the taxes up slightly. Like, I cut taxes not long ago, so I could actually put taxes a tiny bit up, just to close the gap, just for a moment. And, okay, before we do that, before we do any of that, maybe it's a tiny bit up, let's look at the actual projects. Because I might be able to do something like turning off something that I turned on that I shouldn't have turned on. Oh, you see, this one's quite nice. Digital bureaucracy. That will get my tax income up by 3%. But I'd need to borrow a giant pile of money to implement it, which might actually, yeah, servicing that debt might cost more than the benefit of implementing the policy. Oh, this is a good one I should have done earlier. Diplomatic Missions 1 is basically a freebie that just takes a year to do, and I just get a pile of action points out of it. I don't actually need a pile of action points right now, but that gives me hope that maybe there's one I haven't seen yet that would just give me a pile of free money. It turns out there isn't one that gives me a giant pile of free money. Okay, take Diplomatic Missions 1, because it's basically just a freebie, and then put up the taxes slightly. Right, the tax rate is not ridiculous right now. Let's just get it to... Yeah, that's... Ooh. It's a little high at 45%, but... It's probably going to hit the... How bad is that going to hit everything if I just whack that up to... See, that doesn't even make that much of a profit. Okay, let's make a very small loss. Just -4 while we're waiting for the new thing to come through. Because once the actual, diplomatic missions is done, I'll borrow money to get the digital bureaucracy done. Then the tax take will rise without penalties to GDP. And hopefully, GDP will just tick along anyway, and everything will just sort of work itself out. Also, I think Islamic State just joined China's bloc. Did that actually just happen? Because I'm pretty sure it just did. Yeah, that's now China, Burma, and the Islamic State in a diplomatic bloc. Fascinating. Now, how's that war with Pakistan and India getting on? Over here, can we actually see the details of this? Looks like it's swinging, pretty heavily in India's favour for the time being, but that war has been going on for a little while at this point, so this is how wars work, by the way. I know it's a little bit confusing at first. Basically, it's just a series of rock, paper, scissors, where you're trying to use your units and the actual terrain you're on to deal with the other side's units until you wear them down enough to actually achieve victory. However, if the other side just decides to basically dig in, and they've got a strong enough economy to keep training more troops, they can potentially just hold you there indefinitely. But yeah, on this occasion, this war is a bit on the nasty side, and it feels like sooner or later, India is just going to be able to outpower Pakistan just through vastly superior numbers. Because once they start being able to say, if they could clear out all of Pakistan's aircraft, and as a result they can start using strikes where aircraft are involved, and as a result Pakistan will have a debuff against them because they don't have aircraft to actually field, so India would have the advantage, and also there's a Baltic Union going on to deal with the threat of Russia, who may or may not have been attacked by the UN, it's kind of unclear. And there's infrastructure too, for 50 score, and more importantly, 75 more score, 300 gold, and 1,200 action points. Now that's what we needed to see right there, because that can actually fund, quite nicely, the digital bureaucracy business. I mean, it can't, I still need to borrow more money, but not that much more money. Borrowing, investing to grow my country is totally responsible. You know, my relationship with the US is actually surprisingly positive. It's actually positive 31. They're in a bloc, meanwhile, with Canada, Norway, the Netherlands, and Iceland. Good selection of allies there, very interesting. Meanwhile, good old Brazil has actually tried to revoke the anti-warmonger clause of the UN, but no one's actually going for it, unfortunately. Oh, flip, that was a nuke. And also, diplomatic missions is done. There's more important things right now. I'm pretty sure that, that war just went a bit on the nuclear side. So, who just nuked who exactly? So Pakistan, who were losing the war, did indeed decide to nuke India. Kind of understandable in some ways. 10,000 people have been killed. A large amount of the GDP has also been wiped out. And also, there's been quite a bit of a problem with the environment. Can we just check how the environment's doing, by the way? Yeah, apparently that was quite a big nuke. Because we are already beyond minor problems towards climate anomalies. Because if too many nukes get fired in the world, you can literally bring about nuclear winter. And that has a bad effect. That's gonna knacker the economy around the world a little bit, because everyone's going to be a bit flighty about the fact that Pakistan and India are now nuking each other. Yeah, understandable. So, and also population growth's down 0.1% across the entire world, probably because of the fallout. Stop nuking, alright? If bloody North Korea can hold off the nuking, then you two can as well. Give peace a chance, you bastards. Here we go, a little bit more GDP growth can be squeezed out of bringing some fossil fuels into our nation. Let's get that underway as well. Apparently right now we're green energy focus. Does North Korea have a green energy focus? I'm not convinced that's true. I've no evidence on which to make that assessment. I'm just saying it doesn't sound right somehow. Because apparently that also comes with positive relations with the whole world because they're so happy about the green energy. I feel like North Korea does not have a massive green energy focus. I just feel like they haven't got much energy. Because famously, if you, photograph that whole area at night, there's huge numbers of lights all over South Korea and all over China. But then, where North Korea is, there's just a bit of a blackout because there's not power. So, I feel like that's a misrepresentation. Except apparently, I've stretched my natural resources too far. I'm actually 3 under the requirement for my industrial profile. Okay, I'm pretty sure some of my military units use those. Let's just decommission some military. Yes, here we go. Discard 1 jet. Discard 1. Oh, up to 26 in the world. On the up, damn it. Discard. Actually, discard 2 boats. We're not going to need the boats. And there we are. That should be the industrial profile back to where it should be. Now, actually, Iran is... Actually, that's just straight up weird. Iran's warmonger is at 58, so the UN might get involved. India and Pakistan? No. Even though that conflict has just gone flipping nuclear, apparently, not a big deal. Warmonger situation, fine. Now, apparently a meeting between Lex Luthor and someone else has ended in disaster. So as a result, China and the US have both stormed out. Do I support... Well, which one's Lex Luthor? Because I'll support whichever one Lex Luthor is, quite frankly. I'll support China to try and mend my reputation with them. The US won't like me, but I don't think they liked me anyway. Ah, and something new just showed up. Yeah, this is one of the things the DLC adds, a bunch of new factions that occasionally get involved. So, yeah, the North Korean Mafia has just decided to show up. Sorry, the North Korean Legitimate Businessmen's Club. So, potentially that's going to start being a thing at this point. So what exactly does the Legitimate Businessman Club want me to do? So security loans, quick problem solving. Right now I have no particular relationship with them. And as a result, yeah, there's no particular impact on my country. What they would like, however, is the Atomic Energy Project. Okay, that's quite ambitious. Normally you guys just stick to, like, I don't know, running bootleg booze. Or whatever. The fact that you want to harness the power of the atom, I mean, that's just impressive. I have respect for your ambition. I can't help but notice that the game is offering me 15,000 gold and 10,000 action points if I were to convert into a democracy. Now, that's interesting, isn't it? That's very interesting. I mean... Arguably, I'm not making a huge amount of progress towards Mushroom Cloud, but maybe I shouldn't want to be, because that doesn't feel like the good career ending. I mean, it's going to be some way off before we hit democracy. We're still very much on the authoritarian side of authoritarianism, but we may give it a go. Now, I will say, the Atomic Energy Project that the Mafia want me to get involved with, it's not that expensive. We can definitely afford it from an action point perspective. And, well, the maintenance is a little bit on the high side, to be honest. But GDP growth, well, it's a very modest GDP growth for that much investment, to be honest. And especially that much maintenance. But let's just see where, you know, cooperating with the Mafia takes me. Because why not, eh? I'm not sure why I'm taking the money out now. I don't need the money now, because I don't actually have a spare slot for this, but no matter. Meanwhile, diplomacy's gone a bit nuts. South Korea's dropped out of China's bloc and is instead now in a bloc just with them and Bhutan, which is of interest. So, maybe, just maybe, it's time for me to start schmoozing them a bit more. Yeah, let's get on with that, see what we can do there. Okay, and that there was a success, lovely. So Korea's relationship with me right now is up to 38. Alright. Positive starting point here. Positive start. Oh, the great economic crash of 2026 is occurring. So, unemployment growth is going to go a bit nuts for about 2 years, give or take, due to international tycoons panicking. And I'm going to guess that the world economic situation is... Actually, it doesn't seem to be falling too fast. I'm still maintaining growth. So, I am still actually running a surplus right now, which is nice to have. And war has broken out between... Oh, Russia and Poland. That's a good war. Well, it depends actually who's on Poland's side, because I feel like potentially that's not necessarily going to go well for Poland. Russia, what's your military scoring, technically? You've got... According to this, very... No, that's Finland. That would be because I was clicking on Finland right now, yes. Yeah, Russia's definitely got an awful lot of flipping troops next to Poland there. So, I hope that Poland has got themselves some friends here. Poland, who are you friends with at the minute? Who are your bros? Your bros are... You have got no friends. You're in a war with Russia, Belarus, Moldova, and Serbia all together. Okay, but this is going to drive Russia's warmonger up. hopefully the UN will get involved at some point. Ooh, and this I could most certainly go for. A foreign aid program. I surely have got to actually be eligible to receive that. What have happened with that war between India and China, by the way? And apparently we've got merchant vessels. Fascinating. I didn't even know we had one of them, given we don't have basic trade infrastructure, but apparently we do. Okay, so there's... Ooh. Okay, China's block just disintegrated. China! China. My old China plate. I think I've got... Oh. Yeah, they're not really going to want to form a block with me, because I would need several hundred more military units to make it worth their while. Got it. But yeah, Pakistan still seems to exist, so I'm not sure whether maybe India took a province or two off them, because Pakistan does several provinces, so they could have just taken one province. Let's go over and check on this war over here, which is slowly very much swinging in Russia's favour. Yeah, if Poland just basically plays purely defensively, they can hold out for quite a while, but it really feels like Russia's going to win that one sooner or later. Oh, there's that digital bureaucracy. Nice, there we flipping go. Money coming in now. Problem is, GDP growth is poor right now. I mean, it's still positive, even with the world economy in the toilet. We still haven't recovered from the great crash of 2026, but I could really do with the whole world, like, you know, recovering a bit. Okay, I'm sitting on a giant pile of influence and a fair bit of money. How about that atomic energy project? To just further, yeah, I need 425 for that. Let's get it done, just to see if me and the Mafia can be friends. I'm also just going to nudge the tax rate down the tiniest bit to make the bare minimum profit I can get away with. Yeah, down to now, what's that tax rate? 38%, lower than when we started. Lovely. And hopefully that's going to help out with... Hang on. Oh, the global fundraising thing did indeed pass. No, I'm not going to participate in the funding because I should be one of the bloody recipients. Okay, you know what? I'm going to participate because it'll be a good PR exercise, but I really feel like I shouldn't have been asked. And meanwhile, we are up to 30th in the world. Thank you very much indeed. The rebranding is going very nicely. Turkey's in an interesting place right now. I keep getting messages flashing up basically saying that Turkey is reverting back to the Ottoman Empire and all its politicians are talking about reclaiming its lands in Europe. So that's going to be an interesting thing to keep an eye on. Also, looks like no one actually showed up to help Poland in the end. So, though they still have some troops, it feels like they're about to be... Oh yeah. The final offensive is literally underway right now, which is a slow, grinding, difficult affair, but it looks to me like potentially Russia is going to just absolutely knacker these guys. If nothing else, the final offensive is such a brutal, bloody conflict that, yeah, at that point, these troops are going to start being killed very, very quickly. Poland at one point is just going to say, run out of infantry. And when it runs out of infantry, it's all going to start going wrong. It's just going to totally collapse at that point because they're just going to start having penalties for literally not having defensive troops in the slots where you're supposed to have defensive troops. So that's where it's going to go. Oh. Unless, of course, what just actually happened? Well, there was a peace treaty, apparently. I'm not quite sure why there's a peace treaty, because Russia had totally won that war, but apparently they just didn't bother to have Poland. They just kind of fought it for a laugh, because there were all these tanks sitting around, so they thought, you know what, we may as well be using them for something, let's go invade Poland. Okay, here's what I want. I want education up. Because with HDI up, I can shift away from an industrial focus into a service focus. That way, I'm pretty sure lots of money is going to be lying. So, before that, I need remote education infrastructure. So, okay, I need to have literally everyone receiving university education over the internet. Very future-y and utopian. Marvellous. I'm going to need a bit more money than that, though, so... Good news, Mr. Bank. I'm back for more. Actually, I've finally got enough action points to do that research centre thing. I should totally do that. Good news, Mr. Bank. Even more loans. Oh, Bangladesh appears to have ceased to exist. I think they've just actually, yep. They just merged into India over there. That's interesting. That's probably the sort of thing I should actually be doing to South Korea, in fact. Let's actually just keep love bombing South Korea for the time being. Because we really, really need to get those guys a lot more on side if we want to have any chance of actually integrating with them. I'm not sure it's necessarily going to work, though. While we've done wonderful, wonderful work, you know, improving North Korea, we're only like, ooh, an ecological happening. Well, there were some nukes flying recently. Now, do I want to actually release a riot squad on them, or do I want to do things more ecologically? No. Sorry. Natural resources minus 15%, so no. And GD... Actually, it's only for 160 days. Oh, go on then. Fine, we'll be... Oh, bloody hell. That was a bigger hit to the economy than I was expecting. And a dangerous opponent is getting the upper hand in the upcoming election. Should we get rid of him? What does he actually want to do? He wants to push personal control, interventionism. Okay, that's current system parameters. Accidents happen, personal control, leave him alone, interventionism down. No, leave him alone. We're not assassinating political opponents. Whatever happens, happens. Next election comes in. Looks like it's not a major change, to be honest. We're staying... Yeah, we are staying authoritarian. In fact, we actually just got a tiny bit more authoritarian, in fact. Lovely. Well, not really lovely, kind of bad. But actually, if we want to win, we do need to be... What the cock is that? Okay, I think that's just one that's right by the camera, not one that's literally about to eat that guy. Kind of, hopefully, anyway. And thankfully, we can actually afford to kill the bastards. But where the bloody hell did those come from? Who's been bloody tinkering with genetic engineering? I think things are going to go bad in the world, and it's not actually going to be my fault specifically, because basically everyone's calling Russia out for being a bit of a warmonger. Who can save us? I've got no option basically to yell, oh god, we're all doomed, and then basically accept a score penalty and unhappiness being up. Yeah, Russia. And Europe, meanwhile, is busy signing agreements to all work together on stuff. So I feel like if the world's going to end in nuclear fire, not going to be my nuclear fire. Alright, I was trying to sort things out over here. Now we've got to choose between Russia and South Korea. Oh, yes, Russia and South Korea. I will support South Korea. Boom. Let's be nice and friendly with South Korea. There's the research centre. And there, as a result, is the National Improvement Project. Lovely. Presumably we'll get some new stuff showing up soon here. There's now also an Arctic dispute. Not sure that really involves me. Okay, so I can't help but notice. One, Israel and Palestine just went to war, which is probably going to be a bit of an angrily hard-fought one, yes. But two, while everyone's busy, like, looking at Russia and, like, throwing accusations at Russia and basically being ready to try and intervene against Russia because of their ridiculously high warmonger levels, no one's paying a huge amount of attention to me, which could potentially be quite useful, because the whole love bombing of South Korea thing does not seem to be working particularly well. However, if I was just to quietly invade them while no one was looking, I've got 5 years to make that stick, okay? So I need, yeah, grassland, infantry doesn't do well, I need tanks. Okay, I think I've still got the capacity. Yeah, I've still got plenty of capacity for now. Let's get some tanks into production, nice and quietly. Okay, plenty of tanks. I may need to borrow money for the tanks. I will pay you back as soon as we've actually conquered South Korea. They have got so much money there, I will pay you back with that money. Right, tax cut 2, tax cut to 32%. So now, GDP should start jumping up at some point. Remember, I've still got my... Oh, cock, I'm an authoritarian nation. I can't use my nukes anymore. Oh. How long till I could get myself to be totalitarian again? Probably not till... Oh, dear. Not for another 3 years. Well, that's going to be cutting it fine. Okay, so we need to get a bit totalitarian, like, fairly urgently. Then I can start the nukes flying, because this is going to be an offensive war. Right, okay, what did I turn off that's kind of important for nuking people and totalitarianism? Aha! The propaganda school program. I never should have turned that off. Right, get the propaganda schools back in production. I swear at one point we were going to be heading towards universal remote education. No, sorry. That's cancelled. Now it's just the propaganda schools. Right, use the rest of the money to buy tanks. We're going to be needing a lot of tanks while everyone's distracted. And for the rest of it, just basically get some infantry out there. Boom. Lots of infantry, lots of tanks. That's fine. We've got some aircraft. We don't need to worry about the rest of it. We're right up to the limit of what we're allowed to have, because that UN resolution is literally capping my army. I'm not allowed to just kind of disobey that, unfortunately. What are you guys voting on right now? Nothing. Oh, there's atomic energy. Good, good, good. And there's also the... Introduce the atomic energy. Ah, yes! I've done what you bastards told me to do. Is that good in some way? Unemployment growth is up. Army maintenance is more expensive. Project maintenance is less expensive. Personal control is down. I feel like I've actually done exactly what you said, and my country's in a worse shape as a result. I mean, I guess project maintenance down 2.25 is quite nice. That's probably quite significant given projects are very expensive, yes. And due credit to Denmark, who, while the US and Russia were bickering about who owns the North Pole, just basically built a giant house on top of it, so now it belongs to Denmark. Well done, Denmark. Here we go, a few more military policies will give me a few extra units. Get that underway as well, mobilization, lovely. Turns out Denmark might be the one to start World War III, so possibly it wasn't so clever to just build a house on the North Pole. And in a moment, my tanks are showing up. There they go. Right, okay. South Korea. Let's move to your political bloc here. Bloc of South Korea, but that doesn't necessarily mean anyone's going to bother showing up to help you. And I'm not desperately concerned if Bhutan does. Right. Time to get this done, I'm afraid. Except apparently right now I like them too much. So I need to actually go out of my way to annoy them, which is going to cost me money to like go over there and send someone to just yell, ha ha, you smell, you are the worst Korea. But as soon as that's done, we should be able to declare war on them. We tried being nice. We tried. It just didn't work very well. And now, here we go, war. Now, the problem is, the total army power in South Korea is actually quite high. But if I commit my entire army to this, and I play it sensibly, maybe I've got a chance. Hopefully. Right, let's get this flipping done. Begin the war, and basically commit literally everything to the war. I want no reserves whatsoever. Just get literally everything into this war. So, how do we stack up right now? The way we stack up is, we've got the armor advantage, but they've got the everything else advantage. So, I really want to take out their armor, because armor works effectively and troops don't do so well. So if I could clear out their armor, I've at least got a chance. So I've got to do things that destroy their armor. Here we go, airstrike armor destruction. That has got to be my priority right now. Except, they've actually got the advantage in planes, so my planes might take a knock as well. Alternatively, I could go for a breakthrough. Now, that's more likely to work in South Korea than elsewhere, because, yeah, the actual flat grassland means if I just throw my tanks forward, that might actually work pretty nicely. Alternatively, I could just work on clearing out their aircraft, but it doesn't actually get you any war score, it takes time, and it might not actually work. So, arguably, that's not a good idea. Instead, yeah, we try and knock out some of the armor. Let's just start off with a breakthrough here, because we should be able to do pretty well in that regard. Get time ticking along. Right now, they're trying to infiltrate. That's generally quite a difficult thing to do, and I've got plenty of troops. I'm not sure that's going to work for them. So let's just see how this initial exchange actually shakes out here, because it should work out quite nicely for me. And yes, indeed, good progress, because I've got the tanks. We're also killing some infantry. Nice. So that there is a good first starting point there. So I've got myself some war score. 100% they have to completely collapse. I've only got 6 years to make this happen. And I also need to go back to being totalitarian at some point, because I actually need to do that before I can fire nukes at them. So in 2032, that might become possible. Now, unfortunately, once you've done a major operation like that, you can only do it once. So I can't just do the one thing that's going to work over and over again. But I do need to pick and choose the operations that are going to work better for me, and ideally, do them in the right order. Right, well, as this skull is green, and thus this is quite low deadliness, let's get an airstrike in to try and take out their armor. Because if we can clear out their tanks, that's my best tactic right now. If I can just clear out all of their tanks, then I've got a good chance of just being able to basically run them over with my armor. Now, they're trying to take up my aircraft, so they've got the same idea. They're thinking, okay, we could probably just... Oh, dear. That did not go very well. I didn't lose anything, so it wasn't a total disaster. However, yeah, this is not going in my favour. I need to keep an eye on the weather as well, because cloud, for example, has an impact on aircraft and their effectiveness. There's nothing to stop you, by the way, doing an unorganised, fast defensive. However, because it's unorganised and fast, you're only sending forward 2 infantry and 1 tank at a time, and they can defend with loads of infantry and loads of tanks that actually get massive bonuses. So initially going up against a vastly inferior opponent, not a good idea. Now, this one might work. 2 tanks taking on their infantry as the main thing to do. And it gets me some war score. The tanks have got the advantage here, and the infantry are relatively undefended. So this should work pretty well in my favour. They're also trying to take out my aircraft. So basically my plan is to try and take out their armour. They're trying to take out my aircraft at the same time. So we might end up in a situation where I've got no air and he's got no tanks. But I feel like then my tanks might just be able to carry the day if we're lucky. And yes, indeed. Oh, we just lost an armour ourselves. I think we took out 1 of their infantry. Yeah, the cost of armour. Unfortunately, now we're out of money. So now, I'm basically taking loans automatically on an ongoing basis just to keep myself alive. So the economy... Sorry, we're going to need to whack up the taxes. Oh, dear. I could put taxes to 77% and it doesn't fill the gap anymore. Oh, dear. That's a concern. Okay, keep the taxes at like 40% where we actually began. Leave them there. That will slightly lower the deficits. We just have to win this war now. We're pretty much all in on this war. Oh, we just lost an aircraft while I was trying to take out one of their armor. The war is not actually going well, to be honest. Yeah, we've taken the nice, easy first early ones that we actually had a good chance against. Now, the war's looking equal or low. I really need to go totalitarian again, because I need to be firing nukes at these guys. That's actually kind of my only chance. Alternatively, I could just try and grind them down. I could just do a straight up frontal advance. It's highly deadly. We'll both lose some bad stuff, but I think I've got the numbers for it. Maybe we could just go for... Yeah, let's capture the roads. Same basic deal. Yeah, I'm going to try and capture the roads. This is gonna wear both of us down. Also, what's going on here? No, support China. Keep China on side. I don't need them getting involved. No, why are we losing? Oh dear. They're taking out... Yeah, our aircraft are almost gone, and we failed to capture the roads as well. This is a problem. We can try again, but if you try it again, yeah, it's less likely to succeed. Okay, just go for a frontal advance. We've got the cocking tanks. Their armor is being worn down. Like, I know it looks like we're just bashing our head against a brick wall right now, but even though they are winning, we are slowly wearing down their armor. Okay, that's the important thing here. So right now I'm just picking the fights that involve their armor. Ideally, my armor taking on theirs, because if I can just wear their armor down to nothing, we're in good shape. Now I need to also... Okay, take some loans in order to fund the acquisition of more infantry. We need more infantry coming in, like now. Get them trained. Buy a load of infantry. Yeah, lovely. Buy them, get it underway. We can just keep borrowing money as far as possible. Ooh, propaganda schools. That's good, probably. And we are continuing to lose. We're not even making an impact. And they're training troops as well. With their... Oh, they're using their superior economy to train more troops. That's just bloody cheating. The thing is, now I'm out of aircraft... Yeah, any operation that involves aircraft, I'm kind of screwed in. Like, pretty badly screwed, in fact, because they've got aircraft and I don't. So I need to avoid all those operations until they're out of tanks. All I can do is try and cripple their tanks as far as possible. Now, capturing the key cities... Oh, apparently we won something. That's nice. Capturing the key cities is extremely dangerous. Doesn't involve aircraft. Does involve tanks shooting other tanks. So I might lose some tanks... But they might lose some tanks too. How's that? 63 days until all my infantry shows up, which will be lovely. So begin capturing the key cities. Oh, they've stopped defending. They're going on the offensive now. They're actually starting to invade and... Oh, come on. Backwards and forwards. Yes. No. No. I think they've got superior tanks. That's just some infantry dying. Oh, they've bloody built more. They've built more tanks. The bastards, this plan is not working. Okay, at this point, they are just airstriking me over and cocking over again. So, they're basically using their air superiority and... oh dear. And I can't nuke them. Because I'm not allowed to. Yeah, because I should have stayed with totalitarianism. Also, why do I have 15 nukes now? I swear I didn't used to. Huh, that's nice. Okay, I've got a new plan. Do you remember how I had that mission that said go democracy? One of the things I can offer in peace is... yeah, surrender political victory, accept a political system of South Korea, and dismantle my bloc. Okay? Because that will get me all the money in the world, so send that offer. What do you mean refused? I just surrendered. You can't refuse that. Okay, now they're the dicks. I'm now the good guys. Okay, new deal. What if I just give you North Korea? Alright, you just get North Korea, and you can do whatever... I'm literally giving you the country! They're just using their aircraft to just take out my armor over and over and over again, which is exactly what I was scared of. Like, the only way I would have been able to win this war would have been, 1, if I was constantly nuking their army at the same time, which I can't do as an authoritarian, and 2, if I could have completely removed their armor before all my aircraft were taken out, then I could have used my armor to basically take out their infantry because they were at the disadvantage on the grassland. But no. Now, tragically, this is not going to work out. Nice Korea is going to be utterly slaughtered. We're almost out of steam already. And the AI is just playing this perfectly. Now that I'm out of aircraft, they are just destroying my armor. My entire armor has been wiped out. So now, basically, they can force a breakthrough because they've got tanks and aircraft and I don't. And my infantry are going to be absolutely cocking slaughtered. I've gone into ambush actions to give my infantry bonus damage, but... yeah, at this point, they're just going to use... oh, they're going to use air supremacy as well. Yeah, now at this point, they can basically just go through all their actions, one by one, until such time as they've wiped out my infantry. I am completely out of steam. And I think they've just sent me a demand, which is they're willing to actually stop bombing me if I just reduce my army by 50%. Which is an odd demand, because they've just actually reduced it by about 70% by bombing it. So, okay, I'm willing to accept that, because... are you sure you don't want my country? Because I feel like you could manage it better than I've been doing. Also, would you believe that war was quite bad for my country in terms of the economy? Because large parts of it happened on my soil, because they started attacking me. They kind of pushed me back over the boundary. But actually, I'm amazed they haven't decided to take any territory whatsoever. Like, you guys just won. And also, okay, someone basically just decided to start exploring space. And I could choose to fund that if I wanted to. Yeah, I'm going to borrow money to fund that. Why not? You know what, ladies and gentlemen? I think we should leave things off there. I suspect by 2035, I will not have successfully conquered South Korea as well as a small part of Japan. I suspect my liberalization project was not going to work inside the 15-year timescale. It was an ambitious plan, but it was not necessarily a good one. Like, I think Korea is in a better shape now than when I found it. Aside from the bits that were just bombed by South Korea, those bits are definitely worse. But I have made some positive changes to the economy and to the education system, and some of the more hardcore totalitarian stuff we have just swept under the rug a bit. We're still not nice people, but we're less nasty than we used to be, and in the end, sometimes the wheels of progress turn slowly. Very, very slowly indeed. I suspect the way you actually win that scenario as North Korea is you have to stay totalitarian and basically you just build up your army as much as you can, as fast as you can. You just say screw the cost, and then as long as you stay totalitarian, you can use offensive nukes, and then you can actually use nukes on their army. And I think every single nuke hit can reduce between 8 and 40% of their entire army down. So if you get just a good lucky hit in, then you can probably force a breakthrough to take South Korea, and then you've probably got the economic base from there to be able to at some point force an invasion of South Japan. I would guess anyway. That might have been the better way to go. But I hoped for the best, damn it. I had faith in nice Korea. I had faith we might be able to do it a better way. But we couldn't. We couldn't. The only solution was to nuke all our problems away. And on that moral lesson, I shall leave you, ladies and gentlemen. That's Realpolitiks. We've done it before. In fact, I'll put it in the end card. I'll make sure to use the Realpolitiks end card, so you can click through to the original parts I did if you would like to see some more Realpolitiks. It's just getting this new DLC, new power. Honestly, it doesn't seem to have added a huge amount, to be honest. It's just kind of a few extra missions. But I suppose the missions do actually keep things a little bit interesting, so they might add more than I'm seeing so far. And yeah, this was part of a scenario pack that was added by the new DLC as well. So, I will link to that in the description below. Maybe we'll see it again in future. Maybe we'll live stream it. I'm not sure. But in the meantime, I've been John. This has been many a true nerd, and this has been Realpolitiks. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Wait, did people just vote out democracy? Hang on, what have you just done? Oh, go on, let's have the greatest Oktoberfest ever. Yay! Spain and Russia have announced a new alliance as a result of the warmongering of certain Central European countries. Oh, well, excuse me! My leader from now on, no weaklings will stand in the way of this country's path to glory. Oh, God, Germany, not again!